Hey friends, my name is Megan and welcome to episode 66 of a Natty Mess Knitting podcast. All right, y'all, I really wasn't sure if I was going to film this week. It was a big crazy week and it was just disappointing. So I have a lot of anxiety and other things happening right now, but I'm sure a lot of you are also dealing with that. And so I am here to give you some no thinking content. If you need to just space out and do your knitting and keep with that kind of routine to keep yourself centered right now, I'm here for you. I did end up filming. It's late in my day Thursday, so I'm going to keep this pretty short because I need to pack. So we have some things to talk about and we'll sort of speed through, but I do have a finished object. I actually have two, but one of them is not here anymore, and we'll kind of talk about that. And then I want to talk about Sacred Sheep while it's fresh in my mind. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we're planning for Knit Weekend. I'm not going to do that in detail because I'll tell you more about it when we get back. But yeah, I need to pack. So I'm going to need to let this video render, do some very quick editing, and get it out to you while still trying to sleep tonight. So yeah, here we go. It is Thursday, November 7th. Okay, so let's do the normal, like when I'm wearing things, but I will talk a little bit about like my finished object. I did quite a lot of it on our drive down the Sacred Sheep. So I'll also talk about some of that, like maybe just the drive before we get to the good acquisition stuff. So I am wearing my Lauder Vest. I will stand up for this. However, I don't love the shirt I'm wearing with it. And I did order something to go under it for pictures for this weekend. And they came today and I don't love them either. So I had this in my closet and it's just like a super thin mock neck shirt. It's fine. I'm giving some collegiate vibes and I don't hate that, but I think I'm gonna try to find a button down to go under this tomorrow. I'm taking the day off work to go to the Knit Weekend, and also like my plan is to do some of like our grocery shopping for our crew on the way up. And so yes, okay, I'm gonna just stand up so we can talk about the fit of it, since we talked about some of the details last week. Okay, so here we are for knit pictures. I'll probably end up wearing again, something button down, and I don't know, maybe I'll have it untucked, maybe I'll have it tucked in. I'm just wearing leggings right now, so I just have this shirt untucked. Okay, but here it is. Like I said, I don't know, maybe it is still poofing here at the bottom a little bit, but I'll bring a steamer for this weekend so everybody can like look their best for the pictures. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with the fit. I think the armhole depth and armholes themselves look really nice. I'm glad I went with this much ease because I said I just didn't want a big drop at the shoulders. And so this is sitting pretty much perfectly. And yeah, it's maybe a little bit of negative ease at my bust. I do have measurements, but I have them on my computer, so I'll talk about them when I sit down. But yeah, here's the back. The back is like a flat neck piece. It looks great. It's super cozy. It's giving me like all the great fall vibes. Yeah, overall, I'm happy with it. I think the neckline, I was nervous pre-blocking, like it looked really shallow. This is a high V for sure. Like I would happily have it even come down to here, but like I think this is nice for like what it is, like for the look of it and everything. And I know there is a scoop neck or like a crew neck version, and that's both for, I think, for all of the patterns. Maybe even the cardigan can be a crew neck or a V-neck. Let's talk about a couple of the details I really love while I can get close to the camera. I love this line here. So you do the increases for the neckline, because this is top down, and you just do them right. I think you do them inside here, so you're building out your cable pattern, and then when you pick up the ribbing, like it just looks so polished. Same here. So you can see how this braid goes across. That is like your increase section of when you cast on. And then it doesn't truly split because of the way you pick up, but you can see that it like continues down here and then it continues down there. That's like such a nice little effect. So yeah, overall super happy. So overall my measurements for this are like my armhole is like about 9 inches. That's kind of hard to measure because it's got like that little scoop, but like I just did from the top to where that scoop sits. So that's 9 inches. The back of the neck to the front is like 5 3/4 ish. So again, like that could be lower and that would be fine. And then my body measurement from underarm to the bottom is like 13.5 inches. I have a bit of a longer torso. I did add about an inch of ribbing. And then my circumference is really close to like 46 without doing any like stretching, just after blocking. And I was supposed to be at 47 3/4, so I'm a little bit small, which probably means like my shoulder line is a little bit smaller, but like all of this is good and fits me fine. I would be open to doing this pattern again because there's so many versions. Like I'd love a cable cardigan and another cabled sweater. Why not? This is such a nice weight too. I would do it worsted or with a slightly plumper DK and do a like the pullover, and I think I'd be less worried like about the size that I pick. Like I would pick any of the sizes, and if I had a little bit extra, like if it was a little bit drapier or a little more drop shoulder, like that would be okay because I have sleeves and you don't really notice that. But yes, so overall, this pattern, I've said this before about Rebecca's patterns, is that I don't know that they're all beginner friendly. This one I felt like had a lot of instruction because there's a lot of what happens, but there is some do this at the same time that is written fine, but maybe would be a little hard for somebody who's brand new to follow. So again, like I've said before, it's not like don't do her patterns, just like maybe don't make them your very first sweater unless it's a Tolsta. But if it's your first drop shoulder sweater, like also doing all over cable drops, I mean, new knitters are real brave. So I would say like maybe your third or fourth sweater, you could comfortably probably do this, maybe some friend troubleshooting if you really needed to. But yeah, it's a good staple for my wardrobe. I would wear this as a shirt potentially. Like there's plenty of coverage. Like I wouldn't feel like it's weird. It's really woolly wool, so maybe not. Who knows? It's a good layering piece though. So just a reminder, I did size 4, which is 47 1/4 inches. Recommended ease is 3/4 of an inch to 6 inches. This is just under, and I'm under gauge, so it's a little smaller than intended. I used 4mm needles for the body, but the recommended needle size is 3.25, and that was way small. I mean, like my gauge is already smaller, everybody, right? That would have been crazy. So I did use a true DK weight, but it is a fairly light DK, like not even in yardage, like it's 246 yards for 100 grams. But I talked about this yarn last week. It's a little bit splitty, but also like it just feels thinner. Like it's got a little bit of like denser grist, so it's just, I don't know, it's fine. But I think if you did something like, you could totally do this with like a woolen spun light DK, but it would be plumper cables. I don't mind in this. In fact, like I just really love the look of this dark gray. So I said last week, and somebody commented and said like, I wonder if there's possum in that to give it that black halo. But I did look back at the band and it says 100% lamb's wool, and so I don't know if the lamb's wool specifically would have like even lighter floof that would maybe give you that little black halo. You really can't see it. I can see it like looking down though, like looking down at my shirt, it looks like there's a black halo. So I'm gonna take this for a knit weekend to take pictures with Ariel. This is my buddy knit with Ariel. There's just the two of us in our knit group. We cast this on the same day at knit night. We both finished it last week. Maybe she finished it a couple days before me, but we both finished it. And so we are gonna take pictures together, which is gonna be very fun. And she used like a Shanico confetti yarn, and her cables are much plumper than mine, and hers is like a light neutral, so to see the two of us in pictures together is going to be really funny because like not unexpectedly, I'll be in something dark and she's in something light. So we've done this before for knits. So yeah, and we're gonna have other like friend knits that we're taking pictures of and some things that we cast on together, which is gonna be really fun. So yes, let's go through what I finished this week. The first thing I'm actually just gonna throw a picture up is on Saturday I just cast on during baby's nap and finished it another Barley hat. So I have a picture of the two of them together. But this is a Barley hat that I made for the big sister of the baby I brought the blanket to. So we brought the blanket on Saturday, and I decided to just do a hat for Sage, the big sister, so that she could have something when we bring the baby a gift. And we brought the whole family pizza, so it was great. But I put the hats on both of them, and they're so cute. And they both kept the hats on for approximately 3.4 seconds. First, Sage ripped hers off, and then I put it back on her to try to get a picture, and then Theo ripped hers off. So I just have a very cute picture. I'm not going to share it here, but I have a very cute picture of Sage wearing her hat and Theo being a barbarian in the side. That's normal for them. One of them is yelling most of the time. This was really cute though, because it was our first like time that they've had play date. They've kind of played together almost, but they were really truly like sharing toys and trying to do what each other was doing and following each other around and like laughing together. It was so cute. It was very fun. So we're in playtime. So another Barley DK toddler size hat done. Same yarn. It's the same exact hat as Theo. So they have matching hats. I'm just like decided they're best friends. So I've decided that they're going to have matching knits and we're going to start them young. So when they're 12, they can look back on how cute they were. One day I'll get a picture of them both in the hat, but like that's not today. Okay. Or it wasn't this weekend. So, and the new baby is so small. So precious. He's adorable. He slept the whole visit and it was great. Okay. I did only bring this project and then something little for my bag to have with me while we were walking around, which I didn't even end up really adding any stitches to. But for the drive down, it was me, Maya, and Emily, and we really truly split the ride in thirds, which was really nice. And they even were so nice. They really split the ride in thirds, like the last third and the first third. So, sorry. The first third down was mine, and then the last third back was mine. And that was really like part of that was the trip to my house from dropping Emily off. And they like accounted for that. And that was very kind. So I didn't have to just drive extra because I was the furthest. But the drive down was super smooth. But I got a couple hours to just only knit on this. So I didn't pick it up before, but I got to the third buttonhole and then I realized I was like reading the instructions and I thought I only had like 10 rows of ribbing. No, there's another buttonhole in the ribbing. So I had 10 extra rows after my third round, plus the one I needed to get like from my buttonhole to buttonhole, like the same number of rows I did have, which is not what was in the pattern. That was slightly adjusted. Oh, I didn't say for this too. I didn't make any adjustments to this pattern, like at all. Some of it is based by measurements. Yes, I was off on gauge, but like row gauge, I just based by measurements and everything else was to pattern other than adding 1 inch to the body. Okay, so the thing I finished is my mom's field day cardigan. It is now done. It is blocked and it has buttons on, everyone. I did the whole thing. So I was like, when I found out I still had to do another buttonhole and then rows after, I was like, oh no, never be done. I was feeling very dramatic. It ended up being fine. So I just powered through. Actually, when we got back on Sunday, it was pretty early. It was like 6:30. I got to my house just after. And so we put Theo down and then I had all my whole regular knitting time. And I really just tried to do as much as I could on this. And I got a good amount. I did some more on Monday and then I did the sewn bind off on Tuesday. I put this right in the to soak Tuesday night. Like I finished Tuesday night and I went to soak before bed. I got it laid out to block. I put it on my mesh blocking mat in the room that has the dehumidifier right now. And it dried pretty fast. The sleeves were like the slowest part because that's like the part that wasn't on the mesh. They were just kind of laying on the floor. I didn't need the sleeves to black out any. The body was fine too, size wise and everything. I just wanted to make sure that my stitches like evened out a little bit. Just purling and knitting back and forth. I think like picking it up so often and knitting on it for such a long time in different moods and different whatever. I think my stitches were like not uneven, but they could have been more even. And so this washing definitely helped. And now I have like these little perfect baby rows of all these mini stitches. It looks really good. The color looks amazing. So let's do the reminder of all the things. So this is the Field Day Cardigan by Ozetta. She has the Field Day jacket also, which is a different weight. This one is a DK weight. It is a top-down cardigan that has a ribbed button band that you do at the same time as you're knitting the whole body. So I'll go over the construction really fast in case you're new here and you didn't see me do this, but also just as a reminder. You do the back panel, and then, I mean, this is like any drop shoulder really, except for you just never join in the round, right? So you do the back panel, and for doing the button band at the same time, you have to cast on the button band, knit part of it, and then when you pick up the front, you pick up and start knitting this at the same time. So you have sort of like a floppy bit for a little bit, and then you knit the rest of the side of the floppy bit when you pick up the other side, and then you just sew that down. And she has like a tutorial on how to do that, and it's not super complicated. This is the same way the Moonset tee and the Moonset pullover are done, to have that like sewn on back that allows you to do the ribbing at the same time as the body, so you have to pick up later, which is amazing. The buttonholes are actually just like cast off, cast on buttonholes. I can show you. So you cast off a couple stitches, and then you do a cable cast on to pick up a couple stitches under down here, and that's the whole buttonhole. It's super uncomplicated. I don't like, this was fine. I like the structure and sturdiness of like I don't know how else you would do it in a ribbed button band anyway, but I prefer the sturdiness and strength of the buttonholes in a double knit, where you like the way that Lily Kate does them, that they're like finished on the edge. So I just feel like it looks a little bit more polished. These are fine. They're going to do. My mom's not going to care. And then, sorry, back to construction. So you do the buttonholes as you do the body, like after you get done your arm side, you join your body, and then you just straighten it. You start buttonholes when she tells you to. You do the distance between that she tells you to. Really, you're following a recipe, right? And then you pick up armholes whenever you'd like. And your sleeve, you just knit in the round. And we talked about this before, but it's a pretty rapid decrease because you pick up an awful lot of stitches. They are meant to have oversized sleeves. Like if you look at her pictures, they're a bit oversized. I do want to make this for myself, and I think I would size down the sleeve. Like if I made a size, this is a size 6. It's a 58-inch circumference. I don't have the measurements for this. I'm just going to put them in Ravelry, but I'm pretty close to 58 inches. I might be closer to 60 actually. My gauge was a little bit off, but not actually a ton once I remeasured. The recommended ease is 8 inches. This is, I used 4.5 millimeter needles, which is what's recommended, and a DK weight yarn, which is Merino DK from Long Dog Yarn, in the color Clan Fraser from her Outlander collection. It's 100% superwash merino. It's 250 yards for 100 grams. And I really love this color for my mom, not for me. But I will measure it and put the measurements in Ravelry. I was pretty close, and I did the body measurements, like a lot more of it is measured, not like, you don't, she tells you how many rows, but you also do 2 measurements. She says, you know, like do 20 rows, which is 2.5 inches, or, you know, whatever. So I will measure, and I'll put it into Ravelry. So if you're curious for the size 6, you can go in there and see. I'm pretty close, but not dead on. I will put the yarn weight in there too, but I did not use my 7th skein at all. I didn't even wind it up. So I have a whole skein left. I don't know what I'll do with it, but I did use most of the rest of the 6. And Brandy has a pretty good, like she has a little bit overage too for all of her skeins. Just like the same, kind of like 10% like EKF does. So you'll see, look at this, it's hefty. Oh, I didn't show you the buttons. But I got some comments from the knit group. They were like, oh, I like this color more in person. I think you can see the pops of blue a lot more, but there's these really gorgeous, and I think it looks like this makes it look a little bit brighter than it is, but it's got these pretty pops of blue. There's actually even a tiny bit of purple in, and you can see the buttons we picked. I just felt like they were the appropriate Outlander-ish button. My mom had just 4 of these in her button jar, and I went raiding the button jar today. And so that's what it is. I will make my mother put this on, and I will take pictures of it, and I will put them into Ravelry. That just probably won't be until next week sometime. And so I'll do the measurements before I officially give it to her, and I will I will put in the yarn usage because I got to get all that in my tracker anyway. But then, yeah, here we are. But then I will make her put it on and take some pictures. It looks cute on her. It's a good length on her. The sleeves are a little oversized, and they did block, like, you know, a little bit like mid-handish. She says it's very warm and she really likes it. So I completed 2 things this week. Feel good about that. And I did some progress on other projects. So that did take me like a lot of time to finish that. I just had more rows than I realized, and the bind off took a long time, and like just sewing in the ends, and it was fine. I did the buttons at lunch today because I just finally took it off the blocking mat. So that was fun. Okay, let's go through my heirloom quilt cardigan. This is not a great light picture, but I am going to take a picture tonight in the night. And that's why I'm already telling you it's not great lighting, because I know this is going to just be like in my house lighting. But here's a picture of all of my squares laid out. I don't know how I'll have them group, but like maybe just random selection. It's not going to be like the layout of the thing because I only have 23 done. No, I think I have 25 done now. Though I will not include this one in the picture, probably because it's not blocked yet. So it's like the weird, scrunchy, ugly stepsister friend right now. But I finished 1. Oh, wait. Plus 2 more. So I finished 3, and these are blocked, and I'll sew in. The reason I didn't take the picture yet is because I just pulled these off blocking mats too. So I'm going to sew in the ends and add these in at least. The other one, probably not, but maybe I'll sneak them in. So that's a picture of all of my beautiful squares. And this is for the heirloom quilt cardigan, Katrin Seeberger, DK Way. All of this yarn too is the color collection from ZZ Textiles. It's gorgeous. I'm so glad I picked these. They're like a little different than my normal vibe. Like they've got like I don't know what it is. It's kind of like it's like a nostalgic palette to me. Like it's a slightly moodier, less like vibrant solids, and I love it though. They're so good. So I'm very happy with how they've turned out. I guess I had a green kick this week, but this one is black. So we're really close to having 4 in each color done, which is exciting. And it's like, I don't know why that's like feels momentous, because I've kind of been like, you know, keeping it varied throughout. I'm going to be totally fine on yarn. I was worried the other week, but then I realized like I'd already done almost half of all of them, and I have tons of yarn left in each color. So which is great, because I am going to do the sleeves in the blue and the black are the 2 colors I'm going to have the most. I have like an extra skein of, and the button band. So I think I'm going to do the button band in the seal color, which is the blackish. It's like a really dark brown black. And I think I'm going to do the sleeves either 1 blue and 1 black, or both blue. And then I think I might do the cuffs in a contrast, because I will have some left over, and I'll just pick what calls out to me. So there's that. And then I do have culmination squares. I will take a picture of these also tonight. I also have not sewn these ends in. But all of the rest of them are sewn in. So I just have these 2 left. And this is the 2 I finished this week. I did like a moody red yellow, and this one is doing the same thing. This one is only 1 skein. Yeah, only 1 skein of the Malabrigo, one of the Malabrigo fall colors, but it's doing that, like, just the size of this is making the color pool, which is fine. And then this is a green one that I've had on the needles for a while. I was waiting to see if I could steal a fluff from Katie, but we just like haven't had a matchup for bringing it to midnight, and I just wanted to get it done. You can actually kind of see the line where it's a little bit darker, has the mohair, and then the line below, I actually just picked up another strand of fingering because it wasn't mohair. It was like some hobby stuff that's like kind of almost like a fingering weight fluff. So I just picked up a different one. The value is like a little bit different. Like you can just see it's actually a little bit like of a bluer green here and then just more green, true green there. But like sewn into the blanket, you're not going to notice, and you're not going to notice while you're using it. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to move on with my life here. And so we have a green. I did lay them out a little bit last week. And so this is giving me some good ideas of what I want. I'll do another greenish one. I'll do a couple more of these Malabrigo squares, like in different amounts. Some with fluff, some without. Yeah. But I'm just chugging right along. I also, 30 is sort of what the pattern calls for. It's a 5x6 rectangle, but I think I might do 6x6, which will kind of more make it like a full-size comforter. I mean, like, you know, throw blanket, but like it would fit on a full-size bed. And also because I have more scraps. We'll see how I'm feeling. I'm not totally burnt out on these, but like I could be done with them and be fine. So we'll see. But I feel really good that they're all washed and all but these two have their ends woven in. So, and they'll get them woven in tonight. So that's like kind of excellent. I don't know. That feels excellent to me. Like it's not going to, I just have to crochet them together basically. And I don't mind. I think it'll be okay. Okay. So what did I really work on this week? I did a ton of work on my Tessellated Vest. So let me pull it up. I am not connected to any yarn right now, so I thought this was a good place to stop last night. Last week, I had this much of the body done, this bottom part here. So I had several inches to add. So I added my several inches. And then I was like, actually, I did this last night and I needed to keep my mind occupied a little bit more. So I did a thing that I had to think about. And that was what was called for. So I did the front. This is the front. Yes, this is the front. So I did all the shaping and they're all like cut off and ready for the back panel, which I have on needles, but have not picked up any of the yarns for. And this is like, it's a crew neck, but it's got a little bit of a scoop in the front. So the back will be kind of like this one, like it'll be the full panel. So it'll take me a little bit longer to do. But there's no shaping. So I have to do a lot less or there's some shaping, but less. So I have to do a lot less counting. Keeping track of rows, that kind of thing. I just have to basically do it to measure. Then I'll 3 needle and then you cast off like just at the neckline, and then I'll 3 needle bind off exposed. That's what this one is the look of. And then I just have edges. So I'm really hoping this will be done next week. That's kind of my goal, is to have this one done for me, another vestie. And so hopefully I'll have a nice shirt that I can wear. I mean, I would wear this one over this one as well. It's fine. And I'm very happy about that. I thought that was like really good progress. I think overall, this one, like shaping wise, was pretty easy. Instructions were clear. She has it both charted and written. At first I was like, ooh, I don't want to do the chart. I want to just read it. And then I was like, oh no, the chart to me is way easier to follow, like the counts of where I need to be. Partly because when you bind off, I'm always like, okay, wait, so if I bind off 3, like, what is the stitch that, anyway, it was a lot easier to see because you can see what stitch should be remaining because they're stacked like blocks. So you know exactly where you're supposed to be in all of them. I only had to go back once because I just didn't read any instructions for like one of the rows. I just like didn't realize where I was in the pattern and I was kind of blissfully going along. But yeah, I went back like once. So overall, pretty easy. The colors are like, I'm just like dying. Hold on. I can show you. Here we are. Here is oh, it's so cute. So it'll have the main color, the River Anduin will be the neckline, and the armhole shaping. And like armholes will sit really approximately where the Lauder is, like really close in sizing and everything. So that'll be fun. Let's talk through what this is. So This is a pattern by Andrew Mowry. It was last year's Rhinebeck pattern, one of them. I think it was just the pullover and the vest at the same time. This is a size 5. It is supposed to be 48 inches. Recommended ease is 2 to 6 inches. For me, that's like 1. I will say, I told Emily this on the way down to Sacred Sheep because we were talking about Tessellated because that's one of the things she was shopping for. And I was like, you know, she was asking something about gauge, like she's gonna use her hand spun, and I was like, you know, I really honestly never once have checked gauge on this. I'm just believing that I'm on gauge, so I'm gonna live in that place for now. I'm using 3.5 millimeters needles for the body, 2.75 for the ribbing, for the bottom ribbing, and it'll be for all the ribbing. I think that's all recommended needles because, again, I didn't gauge swatch, so I don't know why I would have changed needle sizes. This is, the main color is Sierra Sport from Treehouse Knits in the colorway River Anduin, which is from her collab with Brandy from Long Dog Yarns One Collection, which is Lord of the Rings inspired. I didn't get it during that collection though. I got it during her like favorites last year. The other like sport weight in here is Goosey Fibers, Goosey Sport in Astronomy Tower, which is a Harry Potter colorway, since renamed, if she still carries it. And then they're both 100% Super Rush Merino, 328 yards for 100 grams. They're both a 3-ply. They've knit up exactly the same. They both feel really nice. Goosey Fibers, like I think that background, like the contrasting color of the sport, like it has a lot more variation. Like it was, you know, purpley gray in the skein, but more variation, like for sure, like in the body. Like you can see that there's just like movement in the color. It's really beautiful. And then the fluff in here is actually Truffle Cashmere from Treehouse Knits, also from her favorites collection in the colorway Very Beetlejuice. And it is 81% Super Rush Merino, 19% Cashmere, 316 yards for 100 grams. For 50 grams. It's very slightly fluffier than a Surrey. But I will say it's a different kind of fluff. Like it's a shorter hair, like tufty fluff, rather than like the loose floofy floof of a Surrey. Like I don't know if you can kind of see that from the sides. Like it doesn't have as much of a hair halo as it is just like it's floofy and fills in the space nicely. I love that color. I love this combo. I'm really glad I switched and took out the brown that I had originally planned. I think this is a much more me combo. And also just like they go together super well. So here we are. Quite a lot done. I feel really pleased about that. And I am really hopeful that I'll actually get it done soon. Okay, like look how it's hard to tell. I feel like it picks up so much nicer like in your eyeballs. Your eyeballs can see this, but like look at all that movement of color. Mike said, I showed it to him and he's like, it's really giving me like flower vibes. And I was like, I love that. You think that. But he said it's really pretty. So that's, you know, partner validation. Okay. I did not touch my birch. I did bring my traveler. That's what traveler hoodie is what I brought down to Sacred Sheep to add rose, like just if we were walking around or took time to eat. And I honestly did not even, I like didn't pick it up there at all. This is my Metropolitan Pullover, which is a pattern by Tori Yu. It came out this fall. It is a contiguous construction sweater. The intention, I think, is for like a light and airy fabric. So the gauge is rather large. And a lot of people did this with floof. You could totally do it without floof, though you would have a very different looking object. I think the floof fills in the spaces a lot and like feels a little bit necessary to me, but like it's a DK Way project. You could do whatever you want. I just have I-cord finishing to do on the top here. So there is no, like this is the neckline. We'll see how I feel about that. I actually don't really have any I-cord finished. Not that many I-cord finished things other than like tank tops. So as a sweater, we'll see how I feel. But the way that this contiguous construction works, if you remember the other week I started it and you start the way you do like a drop shoulder sort of, or even like a raglan where you have short rows, but they're not joined at first and you're building the front through increases. and you keep these sort of saddly shoulder things just in between stitch markers, really, and you're just knitting there, and so you're increasing on either side, and that's what creates sort of the shoulder piece. And it sits more like right on your shoulder, the saddles. They're not really, it's not truly a saddle shoulder, but I mean, that's what it looks like. And then the way she did this, like the arm sleeve piece, is like she kind of creates like a cap sleeve. It's a little different than like raglan, right? So to do this, this detail is also that there's eyelets in here. So you create the eyelets that are on the top, and then you join in the round, and you are just doing armhole increases. You're not doing any more front increases. And then there's a little bit of raglan shaping down here just before and just after you join in the round. You do cast stitches on when you join in the round, but yeah, it's interesting. Also, I have all of this is Haven Surrey held with knitted in. And the Haven Surrey is from Woolberry, and it's like her old Surrey base. Okay, but I will say I do feel like my second ball of Surrey was joined like here-ish and definitely is a little bit darker. But I also like, this girl doesn't care. I don't care whatsoever. I'm probably going to use that entire ball for the bottom. So if it just looks like it got a little darker, that ombre is okay with me. And then, I mean, and like there's some darker patches up here in the top, but just overall the value is like a little bit darker pink for that second skein. And then I'll use a third on the sleeves. And so they just will be what they are also. And I'm going to be okay with it. This is not my absolute best color, but it's nice and I like it. And I'm going to be very happy when it's done. It feels very warm and very light right now. So those are the things I'm going for. Here is my stitch marker of where I was last time on the body. Then you can kind of sleeve, like I wasn't even done all of the, I had just done to the raglan increases at like before splitting. So I did the rest of those and I finished the body. I joined and I have, like a good amount of body done, 3.5 or so inches. I will maybe do a little bit more and then I'll quit here and I will pick up sleeves with that separate ball of Surrey and just go from there. Soonish. Might do a couple more inches because like a couple inches doesn't take very long on this, so I can really try it on and it will sit like mid torso, so I don't have to like tug down to see like where the sleeves will sit. That's where I got for that, which was nice, and felt like really good progress. So that is a size 4. It's 48 inches. Recommended ease on that is 4 to 6 inches, and that is just 1 for me. I knew I didn't want as much ease on this. I think just like the way it is, I just don't want it to be too baggy. So that's what I decided. I'm using 6mm needles for the body. You do go down a needle size or 2 for the I-cord, and I'm going to debate on whether I do the cordsmith on this, only because the cordsmith has like a really sharp and pokey ends, and I don't want to break the knitted in while I'm pulling in and out. So I might just use some wooden needles and like go slow and steady. Also, it's not that many stitches. So to be honest, like the cuff and everything, maybe I would do it for the hem. I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably do the hem first and then I'll make a decision after that. Okay. So that's what I have to say about that so far. I have another Tori Yu knit on the needles, and that is a new cast on. I cast this on a little friend call because I have 5 friends making this pattern, and I think I saw another watcher said that she is also making this. This is a test knit for Tori Yu. It is called the Avenue Vest. I don't know if it's the vest or slip over. I can't remember. Anyway, I'll put the real name on the little card. This is how much I cast on. No, this is not an option I showed you last week, but as soon as I finished filming, I was like looking more at my color choices and I realized I had this most amazing combo ever. Perfectly teal, perfectly beautiful. So we'll talk about the yarn in a second, but this is a top-down vest. It is all stockinette. It is worsted weight, but you could do worsted or DK plus fluff. And it's got some very small details that are very cute. And we'll talk more through that as we're going. but I'll flash the picture up that she has posted on her Instagram since I don't want to post anything that's not public. And I did not do a lot. I did the increases for the back panel, and now I'm just got like 7 inches to knit flat. Then I'll pick up the front, just like any of these kind of things. I'll pick up the front little patch here. That'll be like kind of along the increase edge. And then I will knit, do some increases for the neckline. I am doing a V-neck. There is a scoop neck version as well. And then I will eventually join in the round. And here we are. Then I'll just do stockinette for days down. I am going to take this as one of my projects this weekend, and I might get a good bit of it done because just stockinette knitting is nice for parts of knit night when we're having some serious conversations or whatever. We'll definitely have time where we can just like all kind of concentrate or have a movie on or whatever, music, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, just like look at this color. It's gorgeous. Okay, so this was totally 2 unplanned things. I was really debating between this and the red, but I do have an extra skein of the red that I need, and I hate to break it up for a project if I could use it in something else that would use more of the yarn. This is, I think the colorway is Lagoon. I totally took the band upstairs and I forgot to bring it back down with me. But I think the color is Lagoon, but this is Shibui mohair. So just the same as the red one that I showed you. Actually, this was part of the inspiration, as I was like, oh yeah, I think I have one other just 2 set. And so this is a like closeout of Shibui, which they're like back and partnered with somebody else now, maybe as a business. But anyway, so this is their silk cloud base. I will say, like, probably let's just call this discontinued since I don't know if they're producing the same way that they were. But this is 60% kid mohair, 40% silk, so a lighter mohair content. And I think that the color is Lagoon. Okay. But when I was looking at the red, I remembered. So I actually have 4 skeins of that in blue, which will be part of my Doppio that I do later this year. Then I had 2 skeins of this really pretty teal color. And then I was like, do I have a teal yarn I could do with that? And then I remembered part of my payment for doing my Horizon Fibers oolong tank I made as a sample last summer was like I got money to spend on yarn. And I decided that part of what I wanted to spend on was some of her like regular base. So I think this is called Cumulus DK, and it's 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, 246 yards, 400 grams in her colorway Borealis. I also got Borealis on the Stratus base, which is the silk alpaca linen blend, and they dye up really differently because it has like the linen. I mean, like that's a really heathered look. It's different. So I wanted it in this like truly teal color, and I love this color. I think it's great. It is different. It's very different. I'm gonna tell you, it's very different. It's different than River Anduin. It's a greener teal, and it certainly has a different like. I mean, it's greener, it's lighter, and it's got like more variation in this for sure. There's like fully greener bits and there's fully tealer bits. So I think you can't tell super a lot in this right now, but you can kind of see that there's like a little bit of color range in here. And the mohair is very much a solid. So like together, they aren't exactly the same color or anything, but they definitely have like, you know, they just have a nice color story together. I'm like really excited. So we cast this on together on Tuesday night, and I didn't have like, I had just wound the balls. I didn't have a ton done. I was trying not to count too much also during the call. So I like ended up also doing part of my bind off during the call, but it was nice to cast on with friends. Tori does not do any kind of chat channels. It's all just a Google sheet or a Google doc that you can put in notes or questions. I tend to find, I know some of the people like, and I have a couple of friends that test her, so we might chat a little bit about it on the side, but it is a chat less kind of test experience, which I don't dislike. I'm not a big chatter anyway, but yeah, it's a little different. Okay, so that's my only new cast on for the week, other than I cast on and off that hat in an afternoon. Let's talk through Secret Sheep. So here are some of my initial thoughts. It was a lot smaller than Flock. I guess pros and cons here. It was a lot smaller than Flock. That's a pro and a con. To me, it was like way less overwhelming. It was very easy to get through in a couple hours and like really thoroughly see all the booths. It was a lot of really great vendors. So I liked the vendor list a lot. There was a little bit of variety. There were some things that were not knitting, but it was in, you know, majority yarn and fiber. There's not as much fiber, really a lot less fiber. And then compared to Flock, which is my only reference. I don't have another reference for you, everybody. There were a couple of vendors I was excited to see. There was a lot of crossover with Flock though. So if you find Flock to be too overwhelming of an experience, which it is, there are like 130 vendors or something, and this one had 33. So a quarter of the vendors. The space was really nice. The layout was nice. Some of the booths were still pretty small. The like bathroom and food situation was like nice and easy. Getting in access was nice. I like that they did the 10 and 12. So it kind of like kept, you know, they could throttle the number of people in the space at once. It did feel busy when we first got there. Like there were a lot more people because we got there just after 10. We didn't have to wait in line because we got there after 10. So the line was already moving. We just like got our wristbands and went right in. And then at noon, there was like maybe a little bit of a flood of people, but not really. And we were there the second day. So I think I heard like Saturday was busier, but not by a ton. So that was good. Yeah. So I don't know. I think if you think Flock is overwhelming as an experience, this is a great alternative. For me, being in the region and seeing a lot of the same vendors twice is maybe like, I don't know if I would need to do it again. There's nothing against it. I thought it was a nice experience overall. I mean, I love a trip down to Portland. I just, I felt like I saw a lot of these vendors. I didn't actually buy a lot. I did buy from somebody who was not at Flock. I bought from somebody who was at Flock also, but, yeah, I mean, we had a good day. I got up early, picked up Emily, we picked up Maya, we drove down. The drive was no traffic. Everything was pretty easy. The weather was okay. It was just a little cloudy. So overall, thumbs up. They do have some really cute merch. So that's what I'll show you first is I got a Secret Sheep mug. Last year they had a handleless mug, which I really like the look of, but this year is a little handled camp mug and it's so cute. It's got a lid. I love this kind of mug. Also, this is a great mug for me not camping because I'm the kind of person who pours my coffee and I drink about half of it right away. Especially like if I bring it to my desk and then I absolutely don't touch it for an hour and a half. Then I remember, oh yeah, I have coffee and I chug cold coffee. So that'll maybe keep it warm for me, the lid and all. I have a couple of those and I just don't use them as much because I like my ceramic mugs, but this one's so cute. I'd probably put it in the rotation for normal life. Okay, here's another thing that's not for me. That's for me, but not yarn. This is not yarn and not for me. This is a cross stitch kit. It says flowers, flowerette. That's the pattern. It is from Junebug and Darling. I have seen them many different places. So I got like my first kit from her, gosh, like 2017 or no, maybe even before that, 2016, for a friend. And that same friend is going to get another one many years later. This is a level 1 difficulty. It's 6 inches and it includes everything. It includes the embroidery hoop, counted cross stitch pattern, 14 count Aida cloth, which is like the standard cross stitch cloth. 2 tapestry needles. I mean, I guess there's different weights, right? But that's like a standard one for the size of what this is. It's a little bit like larger. Embroidery floss, batting for the frame, felt for the backing, hand-drawn instructions specific to our kits. And you can find her at Junebug and Darling, and Darlin, no G at the end. And yeah, so nice. She's so nice. And we'll be at, there's a craft fair in Seattle for like Christmas time things, and she'll be there. So if you want one of these and you can go, Urban Craft Uprising, she'll be there. I was just talking to her about it while we were there. So that's a Christmas present for a friend. Don't worry, she does not watch the podcast. The next thing I bought was this, which had just like such a special little story about it. This is from San Juan Woolen Works. It is a down and long wool sock yarn. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. She actually told me about this, the whole story for this, when I went to buy it, and I'll tell you what it is. So this is 100% island grown wool. This is where we'll get into the story. It is fingering weight, natural gray heather. So it's not dyed at all. It's 3-ply spun worsted. So it's a worsted style spin, meaning that it's, not got a random, it's all in the same direction. Okay. It's 200 yards, skeins, and they're both 60 grams each. So it's 120 grams. So it's a slightly heavy fingering weight, and I am going to use this for socks. And this is what she envisioned. It's 100% wool socks. And I really love them. Okay. So the sourced from Oak Knoll Farm and Fur Oak Farm. So her friend Jeremy Jennings shorn the sheep in the fall of 23. They're scoured, carded, spun, all at Skagit Woolen Works in Mount Vernon, Washington. So this is typical. San Juan Woolen Works usually works with Skagit Woolen Works. Okay, so this is saying, her little thing is that they want to support local shepherds, right? So there is a friend of hers at Fur Oak Farm. So this is not like they're not just their sheep or flock of sheep. Has a Suffolk and Romney mix flock. And I guess he doesn't normally do stuff with the fleeces. And so she asked for them, and then did a match with their own North Country Cheviot and BFL Romney fiber blend. And that gives it the darker color, because apparently the Romney Suffolk is white. And so the two together make this a gorgeous heathered gray. It's like a brownie gray. It's really, really pretty. And so this is the hopeful addition of like a really nice sock yarn that holds up to heavy wear without the addition of nylon. So it is a little bit rustic. It doesn't feel like it would be super scratchy even if you wore it, like use it in something else. I don't know that I would really use it next to skin, but I don't know, maybe. But yeah, so I'm really excited. That's all on the inside of the little band. I'm excited to do this. And she told me that on her way, this was like something she dreamed up, and she wanted to have it for the festival. And on her way down to Sacred Sheep, she picked this up and labeled it in her hotel room overnight. And so this is brand new. I am going to put this in the rotation for next year for some socks, and then I will give her an accounting of how they feel, how they wear, how they knit up. And that's what I told her I would do. But yeah, so that was a nice little story on that one. Okay. I didn't really get much more, so sorry. This is a little longer of an acquisition section. I found Fiona Kay at Sacred Sheep, but she was also at Flock. One of the vendors that has that more like neon and black vibe, which is not necessarily like colors I gravitate to all the time, though I do like neon on occasion. This is her Spur Surrey base, 74% baby Surrey alpaca, 26% silk, the normal. 328 yards for 50 grams. This is called Crystal Ball. This is this bright in real life. It is so stinking bright. I got a couple skeins of it to go with, actually, something that I had been thinking about, and I got inspired by Leslie from Knit California. I'm going to send her a picture of this too. So she started a California sweater in like super bright colors, and she did it with, they're just really bright colors. But I had this inspiration that I was like, oh, if I got a really bright color to go with this bright slub I have, which is maybe a little bit too orangey yellow leaning, and I have 3 skeins of this, and one of the skeins is definitely more orange even than this. And I didn't know what I would make with this alone. And I like my slub t-shirt, but I don't think I would want this color in the slub t-shirt. I don't know, maybe. But I was like, if I hold it with something, that would be super fun. So I am going to hold it with this. And I'm going to make either a California sweater or a lento or something that has kind of like a bigger gauge. And that's my plan. Okay, my last purchase. So I got like a partial sweater quantity, a sock set, something not for me, a cup, and then one sweater quantity. And so I feel like I was very restrained. I did not go with a plan, and I didn't have any real projects in mind either. I was kind of just going to be inspired and see some things and spend more time with samples, and I definitely did all of those things. I kind of thought I would buy something at Farmer's Daughter Fibers, and I don't regret not getting something there, but like it felt like they had less inventory than some of the other booths. Like they had a lot of people shop from them on Saturday, which is great, good for them. But some of the other booths had like a lot left, and like so just had more options and colors for a sweater quantity. And this particular booth that I ended up buying the sweater quantity from was the one that I thought I would get a sweater quantity from. Like it was the one that was in my mind, just looking at the vendor list, because I saw them, and I think you remember, if you remember me talking about them, when we went down to Rose City Yarn Crawl, I saw their yarn at a couple of shops, and I was like, ooh, I am really interested, but then didn't end up pulling the trigger. So that is Tumalo Fibers. They're out of Bend, Oregon, and they have these gorgeous blends. Mostly non-superwash. They do have one superwash merino base, but they have a lot of really fun blends. So this was the first time I saw Shaniko in a yarn, was that one, at least like labeled as Shaniko. So they have Shaniko in fingering, sport, and DK at least. They've got, I think, 2 weights of Cormo, 100% Cormo, and they have got this really fun British blend, which I thought about getting, but I ended up actually picking up this. The base is called We Wonder. We being W-E, and it is 100% Shetland. And I thought that I would think that's too scratchy, but it's this actually like pretty soft Shetland, and it is just so gorgeous. It's a 2-ply, it's super bouncy. It's got like, oh, it's going to be so fun. And it's in the color called Ripley Blues. And I am going to make, my plan for this at least, is a wool and honey from Andrew Mowry. And one of the reasons I've always wanted to make that sweater, but I wanted like the perfect yarn, because I've seen a lot of people complain or regret their yarn choice because they pick like a superwash wool or something that doesn't have enough grip in it, and it pulls those elongated stitches and just looks kind of yucky like after a couple of wears. This is super toothy and will not have that problem. It's a slightly heavier fingering though, so I'll have to just do some gauge analysis here. It's a British 4-ply, meaning fingering weight. It is kind of, I would say, like a heavy fingering weight. It's a 382 yards for 100 grams. Wraps per inch is 14. So yeah, like a heavier. It's so yummy though. And it's a semi-solid. I mean, it's a tonal. Like it's got a little bit of variation in there. It's a hand-dyed skein, but it's very much blue. And so I got a sweater quantity, and they gave me a little bag, and that was nice. And yeah, I had a nice day, really nice day with Emily and Maya. They were great shopping partners. We walked all around together to start with. Then I had a friend meet me, and she just helped me shop a little bit for some other things. When we went back in, we actually decided to do an entire circuit, no shopping. And then we shopped for some stuff, and that was a really nice way to do it, because I just didn't feel any pressure at the beginning to like make decisions. I was just kind of feeling it out and seeing how everything was, and that didn't take us that long. And then we went back to see what we were really thinking about. So I didn't talk about books last week. I just totally forgot until I was editing, and I was like, oh, whoops. So I'm going to just talk about what I read in the last 2 weeks today. And I finished Pucking Sweet, which is number 3 of the Jacksonville Rays books by Emily Rath. It is like the hockey super smutty romance. We talked about these earlier this year. I read the first 2, and then the companion short story novels. I read the first one, but not the second, which there's like a little bit of impact for like maybe the epilogue of this one, but there's like, you know that the story is happening on the side, but you don't know how any of it happens like during the first 2, but really the timeline, it crosses over most closely with the first book. And so I don't know. I just felt like I didn't need to read that one yet. There is a 4th one that's supposed to be coming out, so I'll probably read that second set of stories before that. It was mostly what I expected. There's just a lot of smut. It's very smutty. And it's another why choose. And this one, like, to heart was like a couple of times, like, why should I have to choose? That's all. I'll leave you with that. I read the third, I finished on my Kindle, the third of the Windy City series, which is like professional athletes in Chicago. And the third one is called Caught Up by Liz Tom Ford. And I like this one. This one was about the baseball player who's like the friend of one of the first two, both of the first two guys. And he has, the whole premise of this is that he has an unexpected baby. So he gets a girl pregnant. They use protection, broken condom, kind of thing, whatever. And she doesn't tell him, has the baby, but then decides she doesn't want to be a mom and just drops the baby off with him and doesn't want any part of this. And he's like left trying to juggle that and his sports career. And then of course, like, can't find a suitable nanny. And then there's a nanny that comes in, and as you can imagine, love. Okay. I am in the middle of the fourth one right now too. I liked the story for the most part. There was it was pretty angsty because it was very much like this nanny that comes in has a timeline and then is going to go do something, like has plans for after the summer, basically. So this is like a time, a romance on a timeline. But it was really sweet. Okay. I read Meet Me in the Margins and by Melissa Ferguson. There is like there's a colon, and then the second part of the title is, so it's Meet Me in the Margins, a rom-com for people who love books. And this is about an aspiring author who works at a small publisher as an editor. And this is like an independent publisher that does mostly nonfiction or like literary fiction, if there is any fiction. And she wants to write romances. And she basically gets like a ghost editor at her publisher that like at the company she works at, someone is editing her book in this like very like hidden room. And there's like a hidden room behind a filing cabinet in the attic. And she doesn't know who it is, or she thinks she knows who it is. And there's some mistaken identities and some other things. And it's really sweet. And I really enjoy it. I read also the second, and these are more this week. These two are this week. So I read The Kingdom of Copper, which is the second of the Daevabad trilogy. So the first one was The City of Brass. It is a like heavily Arabic influenced fantasy series, where, sorry, you can hear my dog, this end of day craziness. And by S.A. Chakraborty, sorry, that's the author. And it is about, I don't want to give a lot away, but like it's a fantasy series that involved jinn or genies, what we might call genies. And there is a lot that goes on in it. Yeah, it's so good. Okay, so sorry, I got very family interrupted. Anyway, so there's just like, there's a lot of political unrest and racism, just, not races we know, and classism and other things. And honestly, I started the third one this week because there was like a big cliffhanger at the end of the second one. And I'm really enjoying this series overall, but it was a little too heavy for me to read this week and just too sad. So I really just stopped right now. I'm going to give myself the space and a couple of days to just decompress, and then I will get back to that. But overall, I'm really enjoying the series. The characters are complicated and nobody is making great choices, but also there are sometimes not great choices to be made. And that is like just so hard. You like want to root for them, but like, you're like, don't do that. But also you're like, their hands are tied sometimes, and other times there's so much tradition and it's hard for them to break out of some of these expectations. So the last one I read was called, and it really, I stuck myself in a romance loop for the end of this, for the middle of the weekend on, because that's all I could handle. So I have a couple started and I have a couple almost done. that I'll talk about next week. But I read the 4th of the Love Light series. I don't know if this is the last one. It's definitely the last one that's out. It's called Business Casual. I kind of hate the title. It's also, it's dumb, like why it's called that, but whatever. It is by BK Borison. This is like the books that are about Love Light Farms, which is a tree farm. So the first one's about the tree farm owner, and then the second one's about the farmer on the tree farm who also lives and works there, and they're all partners, and the baker who lives on the tree farm. This one is about the tree farm's owner's big brother who does not live there but is a frequent visitor, and you know, him finding love and a place in this small town. It's super good. It was very cute. I loved it. Okay, so that's all I have to share for today. I am going to let this render, edit tonight after I get packed and ready for the weekend. We are taking our wheels up, so we're gonna spin and knit together. I have an acquisition that Ariel has. And so I will take a picture of it before, I'm going to really try to remember, take a picture of it before I start spinning it, but I am going to start spinning it there. It is fiber, it's a fiber braid. I'll tell you more about it, but that'll be one thing. And then I am going to bring lots of knitting. We're packing some comfort movies and having some downloaded fun playlists. And yeah, so overall, we're going to keep it really chill for the weekend. Our plans, we are going to be on a little island just off the coast of Washington, like just north of Seattle. We're going to ferry over. I am going to do my best to like not leave the house. There's a hot tub at this place, so I will change my clothes, but like I'm going to sloth. We're going to sloth all weekend. You know, we've got like a couple of different activities. Like I will change where I am in space in the room. But this place has like a pretty comfy setup for the living room. It's just a really nice big house. We are going to take FO pictures and like group fun buddy pictures and stuff. But yeah, that's really it. Like the knit weekend this time is really, the plan is to knit. So not a lot else planned other than like bringing food and eating food and maybe a puzzle and watching some movies and like really getting some time to chill together. So we leave tomorrow and we'll be gone all weekend. So Mike is solo dadding and he's going to have a lot of fun because Theo is in like particularly rambunctious mood right now. I think she's like, it's been a little bit rainy, so she's been inside a little bit more, and I think she's got energy to burn. So hopefully they get some sunshine or just not rain for a little bit to like playground time. I don't have like a particular knit tip of the week this week. I don't really have myself together this week, in case you did not notice. So I will get a real list of things so I know what to refer to. One of the things I might do this weekend though is like film or at least take more notes so I can talk about it next week as the tip of the week. Is somebody asked, how do I choose to spin a braid? And I'm going to start a new braid and I have a particular project in mind for that one. So I'm going to talk through how I decided to split it. And I'll at least document, if not in video, then like in pictures, how I chose to split that braid. So you can see it from start to semi-finished. Like I'm not going to be done the braid by that point, but I'll have some of it spun, right? So you can kind of see it. And I think that's a really great one because that I find also difficult. It sort of depends. I sometimes let the braid talk to me. Sometimes I have a project in mind. And so I'll go through a time that I have a project in mind. Other than that, I think I will say I have one ambition for this year, and you guys, I would really, really love feedback on like, what are the small things you need reminders for? So this, I mean, sort of goes in line with like tips of the week, but I didn't get that many from you all, like some are like more topics of like, how do I do something or whatever, which is great. But Sylvan and I were saying at midnight, and a couple other people were just saying like, what I find annoying is YouTube. I love YouTube tutorials. I don't really do Instagram reel tutorials because I find they're very hard to find. Once I find them, I save them, but then that's even hard to sort through. So I mostly do like tutorials. If I can't remember how to do something, I go to YouTube. What I do find a little bit annoying is many times YouTube videos have way too much talking around the thing as a person who talks a lot. But I just want to get to it. It's like, okay, I just need a refresher on this. Of course, those are amazing for like, if you don't understand what you're supposed to be doing and you really need a guided process, great. But sometimes you just need like the visual of somebody doing it really slow and then a little bit faster, or holding the yarn in their hands, or whatever the thing is. So this is my ambition, is maybe I'll do it at the end of this year, maybe next year, is like film just a ton of these like 1-minute clips of like, make one right, make one left, make one right through the purl side, make one left through the purl side. Like the things you, Kitchener stitch, ending a Kitchener stitch, starting a Kitchener stitch, like the things that are like, oh, how do I do that? Like, sometimes I'll even just go to, like, I have a couple of tagged articles on things because I don't want to watch a video and I just want to look through the picture really fast. So what are those things for you? What are the things that you need refreshers on sometimes, but you want like a 30-second to 1-minute video of someone just doing it? It's like, I literally want to start these like, this is the first 4 steps of the Kitchener stitch, and then just do them. No real explanation. Maybe like a very fast speak over. What are they for you? Let me know. I'm going to make a big list. I'm going to make a big list because I already have some of them in mind, but like, I don't know what are the other things people like go to for their refresher pieces on Instagram or on YouTube. Okay, that's all. I hope that y'all are hanging in there. You can always message me on Instagram. You can comment below. I'll always respond. And yeah, I am on Discord. Please join our Discord if you want to have some nice friendly chats. I know I said this last week, but I'm truly going to do it this week. I'm going to put in my availability for doing our next group knit together, which will be, you know, sometime in the next 2-ish weeks before Thanksgiving. So if you would like to join and then join our like little live knitting, we just jump on a video call and chat through what we're working on and other things, and it's really nice and fun. So I will talk to y'all soon. I hope you have a relaxing, recuperative weekend, day, whenever you're watching this. Have a yummy drink. Take a moment to decompress. I hope I kept you good company. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.